Hey yo, welcome to another episode of Off the Beaten Path, your new favorite podcast. And today we have Grady Strange. How are you doing, sir?
Pathcast. I'm good, dude.
Oh yeah, yeah. I fucked that up a little bit, but
Yeah, I think we just pinned a new name. I like that. We're the
hell yeah,
Pathcast.
Pathcast. Hell yeah, that's what we're doing.
Pathcast. Hell yeah.
Thank you,
But
Grady.
yes,
Yeah,
that
no
we're
problem. I'll just Venmo request you guys if it ever blows up.
when it blows up, as
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah,
Because
when it. Sorry.
no, it's all good. No worries about that. But who is Grady Strange?
I mean, I would say I chose the name Strange just to do something different and have fun with it, but it's just myself. I record everything myself. So I would say this project is just a pretty true representation of me trying to be present in the moment. Sometimes I make music, like right now I'm on a wave and I'm making a ton of music and it feels great, and then other times I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. Someone just trying to be present, I guess. Take it all in, do the best I can.
And where do you find the motivation when you don't have motivation?
Um, I'll try to, I mean, honestly, like taking space from what I'm doing motivates me sometimes. Like just being okay with like not feeling productive all the time. And if I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to force it, and I'm going to go do something to kind of breathe in a little bit, because you can't be breathing out all the time. So yeah, I'll just go surf or focus on something else or work a bunch of jobs and stuff, and then wait till I feel something coming again. But right now it's been really inspiring. I've been on like a month of like every day wanting to record, which I don't know if it's ever happened for that long. So I'm psyched.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like how you said you're on a wave right now, kind of metaphorically, but you're also a pretty avid surfer.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I guess I just say it a lot. I mean, yeah, you pick up the energy. It feels like a wave, and because it's going to end, this inspiration, and I'm going to go through months where I'm like, oh, I can't write a song. I can't think of anything. But yeah, I'm downloading right now.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't have the crest of the wave without the trough also.
Yeah.
And when
For
did you
sure.
start? When did you first get into surfing and shit?
I grew up on the East Coast in New Jersey, so I surfed ever since I was little, but just really in the summers because it gets so cold. And then I moved to Nashville for like 8 years and didn't really surf at all, maybe once a year. And then when I moved back out here, I kind of was able to tap back into it. And I feel like it gave me a lot of balance because I wasn't just squeezing one thing like music. I had other things I was doing, and I don't know, balancing out your passions and stuff, I feel like is always healthy.
Super healthy, and that's what I like about your music is you spoke just now of not forcing it. Like none of your music sounds forced. It all sounds like this is what I'm feeling right now. It's from the heart, and this is what's going on, and that's what's beautiful, and that's why I gravitate towards your music is you can tell this is straight from the heart. This is what he was feeling. This is what he was going through, or something he saw, a dream, whatever the fuck it was. That's
Thanks,
what I love.
man. That's sick. That
Yeah.
means a lot. Yeah, I feel like when I was younger, I've been in a lot of different bands and stuff, and I feel like when you're younger, you're trying to fit a box or be like, oh, we should tour with this band. Let's make music like this. You just don't know yet how to trust that what you're going to create is cool and that whatever's going to come through you is you. So I feel like I went through a lot of years of like trying to make stuff that sounded a certain way or try to make a song that was catchy. And this project has kind of opened up for me the first time where I just like, I'm not trying to write a hook. I'm not trying to make a psych song or a punk song. I'm just like, whatever comes to me that day, I just trust it and kind of let it go. And it's weird because you don't, it helps with like expectations for what the song should do. But also the one thing I get worried about is there's people, I was just talking about this with my girlfriend. There's people who like do one thing over and over again, like garage rock. And then they get really big in that scene because people like are used to that. Whereas I feel like my stuff, since I'm just trusting whatever I'm stoked on that day, I have like fast songs, slow songs. Like the new shit sounds nothing like the old stuff. And I'm like, whatever, it's just whatever it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
But it feels freeing to not try to make it to fit in with a certain thing or to sound like a certain genre or person, you know?
And it definitely comes through, like, you know, everything you just said, it definitely comes through of I'm just gonna do what I want to do, basically. You know,
Yeah.
like it comes through very, very vividly. Like that's what I got from it, what you just said, you know.
That's awesome. That's good to
Hell
know.
yeah. Hell
I'm curious
yeah.
about this too. Having been that genre box earlier, where you were doing stuff based on external expectations or maybe pressure to have a popular song, does any of that songwriting chops that you learned during that phase prove to be super necessary to what you do now, or could you have skipped that phase altogether?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know that I would be here right now trusting my process if I didn't go through worrying about the songwriting process for all those years. I feel like, you know, all those pieces brought me to where this moment, to where I am now. So I don't know for sure, but when I lived in Nashville, it was all like music business. I went to music business school for a little bit, and yeah, it was just like very much like how to monetize. Like that whole phase was like people telling me how to make my art a business, and also like your songwriting, how to make it stand out. And you're just like, it was a lot. And then I got super burnt, and I think I kind of uh correlated, like I associated that feeling with Nashville for me, but it wasn't Nashville. Nashville's a great place, but there I was so worried about just music and like, what tour are we going to go on? We got to write a song today. No, that part's not catchy enough. Let's do this and switch this around. And I learned a lot, like you were saying, like a lot about songwriting, a lot about how not to sign a shitty contract, a lot about tours, a lot about all this kind of stuff that I don't regret learning, but I learned after a while that it wasn't true to the form of expression that I wanted to be experiencing. Like there was too many boundaries and too many boxes and walls up. And so when I started this solo thing, it was just like, I'm going to work other jobs. I'm not going to, because in Nashville too, we were relying fully on music to pay our bills. So we were going on tours, and then here it's more like, all right, I'm going to just accept, like, for now, working other jobs and making music strictly like my expression. And only when it feels good, I'll go months without doing it. And I don't know, I always have goals still and shit, but and some structure. I'm not just like abstract going for it. But yeah, I think a lot of that stuff I needed to go through to trust what I'm doing now, you know.
Right. And what would you say like your writing process is like? Like, does it vary?
Yeah, it definitely varies. And a lot of times when I get like a new instrument or a new toy, it like totally changes everything. Like I would say this whole new record I'm working on finishing now is all because I bought this old drum machine. It's like a 1977 Roland drum machine. It's like this big old thing. And I brought it home and I just started playing with all the different beats. And then to jam with it, I was writing everything on bass. And so it's all like faster and more punk, maybe like a little bit more like high energy. And I feel like all that whole wave of songs came because I bought that thing. I had just finished making the last record, Getting Stranger, and I was like, I could not be inspired to pick up a guitar. I was like, there's nothing more for me to say right now or explore with a guitar. I burnt myself on that, making the last one. So then this whole new record, picking up the new things, opened up like a whole new chapter and wave for me. So, but the process is usually like some chords or a bass line or like a groove first. And then I'll either like, it's all different. The other day I woke up and immediately started playing this riff, and I wrote 3 verses. I wrote a whole song in like 40 minutes. And another song, the one that actually opened up this whole new album, was a friend hit me up and was like, I need a song for a commercial for like a bicycle or something. And it has to be a minute long and I need it like fast and high energy. And I just like hit me at the right time. And I just like went for it. And I started at like 10, and by 3, the song was done. But then I have other songs where I'll like have a bass line and I record it to the tape machine and I put it in my computer and I'll start adding like percussion and all this other shit. And then I start to get a feel like, okay, maybe this song's about this. And a lot of times for lyrics, I have to just throw stuff away for like weeks, months, and be like, I don't know what that's about. I don't know what it's supposed to be about. Put it away. And then you'll go experience something and be like, oh, now I have melody. Now I have lyrics that are starting to fit that melody. So they're all different. Some take months and like I figure out later what they're about. Some I come right out of me, but if they don't come right out of me and I try to force it, it ends up being like this song doesn't need to happen. Like it's not, it's forced. So I'm actually not saying anything because I'm not talking from experience or inspiration. I'm talking from like, I'll find myself writing from like what I think someone might want to hear a song about. And I'm like, fuck this. And I just like stop and throw that out and wait till something else hits me, you know?
And how many songs would you say that you have on your hard drive that probably are never going to see the light of day?
Actually, with this project, not a lot.
Hell yeah.
There's probably a couple over the years that like sit in my voice memos and I'll like 2 years later bring it up and be like, oh, I forgot about that. Like that's such a good whatever. And then I'll try to write it and just get stuck again. There's probably a couple. But with this project, I just kind of like, I don't know what it is. Like old bands, I feel like I would have so many songs that I couldn't figure out. But this one, maybe it's the freedom we're talking about of just like being like, this is not taking a song that's slower or that's has a totally different vibe from my other stuff and trying to meld it into like a Grady song and just trusting like, well, if it came out of me, it was supposed to be this. Right. So I think that freedom allows me to just like put out most of what I write. Like I feel like I don't have songs that I've written in the last year that aren't going to be on the next album.
Right. And sorry.
Go ahead.
You have like Not Very Strange at All, and then you have Getting Stranger with this new album. Are you gonna keep the same kind of strange thing going on?
I don't know yet. I honestly have no idea what it's gonna be called. Usually it's either like, oh, there's a song on here that has to be the album title, but I don't have that on this. I know exactly what the album art's gonna be. I have it all like thought out in my head. But I don't, which is the album art is based off of one of the songs and a moment I had like during I got into for the first time ever trying to do meditation this year, and I had this like crazy thing I kept seeing, and it's gonna be something based on that, the art. But name wise, I have no idea. I might do Seriously Strange or something. I have no idea. If I can't figure anything else out, then that's a good fallback. Just keep, I don't know, getting stranger.
The very most strange.
Yeah.
Of them all.
Yeah. My thing was, I was like, if he comes out with the strangest, there's nothing that can go past that. So that has to be the end of it. So right, I don't want this to be the strangest. I want it to keep going.
Yeah.
You know.
Somewhat stranger. Still stranger now. I don't know.
Danger.
Yeah, I don't really. I'm starting to care less and less about like what it's called, but I don't know. Like I don't have a storyline like Vampire Weekend or someone who has like storylines going through albums. Mm-hmm. It's sick when it's like chapters and then you know when it's going to be done. Mine, I don't want to like build up to something and then be like, this is the last one.
Right.
So it'll just be something random. I will say we were just the other night, I was like bouncing down files and I finished this one song. It's like, doesn't have a lot of lyrics on it. And we didn't know what to call it. And I looked at the drum machine and found what beat it was that I was playing it to. And it was Bossa Nova. And so then my girlfriend was like, you got to call this song Champagne Bossa Nova instead of Oasis Champagne Supernova.
Right.
So I was like, all right, cool. So there is going to be a song on there called Champagne Bossa Nova. But
nice.
That's all I know.
And with all your talents that you contribute to your project, at what point did you, I guess, what was your first instrument? And at what point along the way did you start becoming a lyricist, a vocalist, visual artist? Because you do everything that you do, even multiple instruments.
I started off with like trying to play piano. I didn't really like it, and then played a little bit of guitar in high school and bass, and then it was kind of like college when I saw other, like around that age, like 18, when I saw other people like really good at what they were doing, and it inspired me to try to get better. And then this is the first project when I was like, I'm going to try to record almost everything myself. And then I think it was just seeing other bands that made me inspired to try to do a lot of the visual aspect too, because that rang so deep with me when I would see like a band that I loved, and the singer or whoever in the band like made all the art and connected. It just felt like a full package and a full picture of what's going on in their mind at that time. And so that's what started like kind of inspiring me to try to make my own visual stuff. So that was more recent. But also like I'm learning too that it's cool and fine to be honest with yourself when you're like, I can't make this as cool as my friend who's a graphic designer can. So like for this art, I'm going to make a lot of it. And then I think for like some key things, I'm going to hit up my friend who is an amazing graphic designer, and I like his stuff. So I'm going to sit with him and work on it. And same with this whole record. So the last album, Getting Stranger, I played everything on. But then this one, I played everything except drums. And I'm having my drummer who plays live with me record drums. Well, also Mackenzie sings and plays saxophone on it. But I'm going to have Mark, my drummer, play drums, because I'm like, it actually elevates the music a lot. He adds stuff and certain fills that I would have never thought of. He's a creative drummer. So I'm learning to like, I don't have to be like a one-man show in order to get the point across. If I do like 85% of it, people will still get the feeling, and it'll probably be a higher version of what it was going to be.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Because it comes from your mind, but people that have an outside perspective, like your drummer or Mackenzie, they're able to elevate it in a way it's like, oh, I would have never thought to put that fill there, but I'm glad that you did.
Totally. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And also, you talked about meditation a little bit, and I saw you posted the autobiography of a yogi. Like, so is that something that you've been practicing and trying to live in the moment, connect with yourself?
Yeah, I didn't really grow up super religious, but I kind of found like some sort of spirituality, but I've always been super cautious and not really trusting. And then I read that book, and it opened it up for me and was like, oh, this is really cool. Like just thinking about how the interconnectedness of like everything in the universe and the world, it's so obvious. Like you can make metaphors all day about, the tides with your garden, with your mind, with, everything's related. And I think just trying to, I was really down with learning about trying to get more tuned into that oneness, and not, it kind of helps a lot when you're not like thinking of yourself that like everything's on your back and you're this individual separate from everything, when really you're like, yes, I'm definitely an individual and I have this form, but like I'm actually on an energy level and a deeper level. I'm actually like super connected to all this shit. And the more that I get in tune with it, the more the universe is just going to work with me, and like shit will line up the way it's supposed to. And music will come through me more easily because it's not me being like, look what I made, this is on my back. Mm-hmm. So I just was like down with all that. I read that book and I started trying to meditate, but I had no guidelines. I was just like thinking of thoughts of oneness, and it was like, this is cool. But then I had a bunch of friends and my uncle and stuff that were like, you should try to learn, like get trained in some form of meditation where they like guide you in or teach you certain tools, so that you're not just like, the way my uncle put it was like, it's like you're playing music right now with your meditation and you're having fun, but it couldn't hurt if you learned a little bit of music theory to like know what you're even doing. So then I got trained in transcendental meditation, which is basically just, you get a mantra, you get like a sound. It's not even a word. And so you just sit there for like 20 minutes in the morning, and sometimes I do 20 minutes in the evening, and close your eyes and repeat the mantra. And that's what I do. It's cool. It's like stretching your legs, you know, you like take care of your body. It's just like quieting your mind, and you feel refreshed, and you feel a little bit, sometimes it's like prolific feeling where I'm like, whoa, I felt like a greater feeling in me right there or around me. And sometimes you're like, wow, I just had thoughts the whole time about how I have to go to the bank after this.
Yeah.
But they teach you a lot when you're getting trained about how like that's all part of it, and you can't judge what's going on in your mind. All you can do is like show up and try to quiet your shit for a second. So yeah, I really like it. And it kind of inspired like a lot of the lyrics for this whole new album. Just like not any super spiritual music or no religion. It's just kind of like me widening my perspective and talking about that a little bit.
And being in the moment, you know, that's
Totally.
I think that's why most people don't do meditation, is because it's like, oh, I can't stop thinking about stuff. It's like, no, let those thoughts come in. Like, be one with those thoughts, understand that they are there, and then let them pass on and go back to your breathing, go back to your mantra, whatever it is.
Yeah, understand that they aren't everything that you are. They're like a cloud passing in your sky, and everything's going to pass. And then you just like keep siding. Just keep breathing, and just, they call it like siding with the awareness. Like you're actually the awareness witnessing all this shit happening to you, witnessing all your thoughts. So when you think of it that way, instead of being like, oh, I'm so pissed right now, you can go like, oh, look at you. Your ego's like getting pissed right now because you're in traffic. That's funny that you're like, you know, and you can kind of just like take everything a little less seriously. So yeah, that's been really cool. But it's a long like journey. Like I don't think at all that I've like mastered something or have some tool that somebody else doesn't. This is just the thing that I've found that like made me feel a little bit more in tune with stuff.
Right.
And do you ever use it to kick off your creative process? Like if you know you're sitting down to write a song or finish one, do you ever meditate to go into it with that energy?
I mainly just try to do it every morning. So I'll do it and then I'll worry about what I'm doing. And a lot of times, so mostly when I go to mix or pick up my instruments, it's like I did just come out of like a pretty trying to be centered or quiet place. So I feel like it definitely rubs off on it. And it just gives you like, you see things in new ways, you see new perspectives, you see and so going into writing, I'm thinking about that stuff, you know, so it's definitely affected it for sure.
Yeah, I don't meditate often, but one thing you just mentioned that I love when I do is it just slows you down so you can see things from different angles versus, like you say, your ego gets inflamed and it's like, this is the way it's going to be. I have to control this and defend myself. But meditation is just like, see all the possible perspectives that could be here.
Yeah. Yeah, it does slow you down. It slows you down and allows you to like realize the like perspective and that it actually isn't that big of a deal that whatever's happening is happening. And, you know, I don't know. It's really cool.
Have you noticed an integration in your life in general where like you might get into a hectic situation or you might get emotions riled up and you're able to breathe and calm it down?
Totally. Yeah. I think like it definitely has like a physical effect on you if you do it a lot. And even like it just reminds you of that voice in your head that goes like, oh, look, you're doing that thing that you do, or you're about to like choose that pattern again because you feel like you need to like defend yourself or whatever, or somebody's doing you wrong, or even if a good thing happens, you're like, oh, it's healthy to just be like, yes, this is an amazing thing. Yes, I accomplished this, but also like just witnessing yourself be like reacting to something or the way you're it's just like siding with the awareness and not with the emotion or the feeling, just being like just witnessing it instead of being engulfed in whatever it is you're feeling or whatever it is you're doing. It helps you just like take a deep breath and put it all in perspective and not take things too seriously. And also like expectations, like I learned a lot through it, that because I'm very like goal based and I have dreams of shit. But a lot of meditations, like everything you ever need is right in the now. If you're having a thought about the past or a thought about the future, it like doesn't deserve to clog your now all the time, because actually like all of life and everything happening is in this moment and you're a piece of it. You're like a drop of water in this whole ocean that's moving. And to be thinking about where you're going to be in a year or whatever isn't serving this moment, which is like actually all there is. But I'm really dream goal based. So I was like, how do I work with that? But it's cool. Like you basically learn like it's healthy to have those. It's just not healthy to be tied to the expectation or to the result, you know? Like, sure, I can be like, I want to play that festival in a year. And if I don't, you can be like, okay, you know, that didn't break me. It's just as interesting to not play it as it was to play it, you know? Like,
right.
Like just not being tied to the result, still interacting with relationships and with dreams and with your career, and still trying and being a part of society, but also just holding it all a little bit lighter, not letting it like break you or make you. It's the thing happens or doesn't happen, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, Bobby and I do this podcast together, but just speaking for myself, you know, like I said, podcast at the beginning of it, and you were like, hey, yeah, you know, if y'all get big. And I was like, no, when we get big, because I really feel like this is going to blow up eventually. And when we're going to be able to give artists that we love a platform bigger than it is now. But if that doesn't happen, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
still got to talk to Grady Strange. You know,
I still met Grady Strange. Yes.
Like that's beautiful.
Yeah, and you're still like doing something that's serving you and making you feel good all the time. And if it did that for all those, like even people like my girlfriend was in a band that eventually broke up, and you could look at that like, or even me, I did that too. Like, oh, all those years for nothing. Like we did all that stuff. But it's like, if you actually think back in the moment, were you engulfed in like what it was going to become, or were there a lot of moments where you're like, I'm just happy to be right here right now, because that's actually you know, all there is. It's okay to have goals, but like if that's what you're like, oh, you're worried about, or like if you guys want, like you hope for this to get big, but if it doesn't, you're like, it's not, you know, it wasn't meant to be. And this is where, look at all the amazing times we had in the moment, you know. I don't know, it's just like, it's cool.
No, it is. It really is. And I think a lot of people miss that. And I've missed it before. You know, I've not lived in the moment and wanted something to do something that it never, rather it was a relationship with a girlfriend, whatever it was. But, you know, as I've gotten older, it's like, no, it wasn't meant to be. But the times that we had, whether it's in a relationship, a band, whatever, was I in the moment when it was going on, you know? And I can truly say that this is something that's in the moment. You're living in the moment, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I'm learning all this shit and I'm not living it all the time. You know, I'm not like unfazed when something doesn't go my way, or I'm not like secretly hoping. I'm not sitting here like not secretly hoping that something happens, but it's just about like also being in the moment when it doesn't happen, you know, being like, all right, I'm going to sit in this for however long I need to but I'm going to accept it. It's about like acceptance and not fighting against it. There was a cool thing I read actually that like made sense for me. It was this guy, Eckhart Tolle, and he said like, all these things we're talking about, all these goals should all be there, but they should be your second priority. And like being in tune with the one and trusting wherever you're supposed to be, and like giving off that energy is actually like number one priority all the time. Whether you're making music or whether you're like picking up trash, accepting that like this is my life purpose right now, to throw out this like wrapper is my, like this is it right here in this moment, then you'll never go wrong. Because like you still want to interact with all those things, but know that they're like actually secondary to your purpose of just like being here in this moment, you know?
Hell yeah. Sounds like a wise man.
That book was really cool. A New Earth, I think it was called. It was sick.
Yeah, I didn't read that one by him. I read his first book, and man, or like bits and pieces of it. I can't remember the name of it though. You might know it.
Yeah, he had a huge one. I can't remember what it's called, but he
It's kind
wrote
of like Ram Dass's "Be Here Now." Like it was just in that community, it just blew up.
right.
But I can't remember the name of it.
I listen to Ram Dass like speeches a lot when I'm driving and stuff. Those are really good for just like putting it all in perspective, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually use those as like a white noise for falling asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good place to be.
And one of my favorite songs from you is "No One Knows." And
oh, cool.
you know, it's kind of talking about the things that we're talking about now. So, you know, now it seems like you're someone that questions everything, but has that always been, you know, kind of your mindset of take nothing at face value, let me question this?
Yeah, definitely. I almost feel like that song now, like some of those opening lines and stuff, I wouldn't have even said that way because I have different feelings now or perspectives now or beliefs now. But yeah, I've always been like, I mean, I feel like it was an advantage to where my growing up where my parents were like encouraged. I had never gone to any organized anything religion, but they also encouraged me like figure it out for yourself, you know, whatever you want to believe, that's totally true to you, which I think is a cool way to do it. It took me way longer to figure out any roots in what I believed in. And it might have made me like more closed-minded when I was younger because I didn't grow up with anything. So then when I'd see somebody like deep on a path, I'd be like, that's weird. But it definitely, I'm happy with what I've figured out now. So I feel like I've always questioned stuff, but not as much anymore. Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's awesome what you said because it's a great song. You know, I love the lyrics, but the fact that you're like this day and age right now, I wouldn't write those lyrics the same way that I wrote them when I wrote them. You know,
yeah.
I heard Rogan say something that stuck with me. He's like, we weren't the same person at noon that we are at 7 p.m. So how do you expect us to be the same person, you know, like 3 years later or whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all supposed to grow and change, and you have to allow that, you know.
Right.
That's why it's hard for bands when people go through like genre changes or whatever, and people were like, play that one song. I had a band like that where we were 18 and we made some crazy stuff that we were just like blending a bunch of different stuff. And a couple of them got like a pretty decent amount of attention online and stuff. And we would go tour and there'd be just like drunk dudes like screaming the name of that song in between every other song. And we're like, it sucks because I know you're here for me, but you're not really here for like me. You're here to hear that one song. Song. Like, you're not here to like watch me do whatever wherever I'm at in the moment, which is hard because I go see bands too and I'm like, I really hope they play that one. And then when everybody's like, this is a new one, you're usually like, damn it. But but it's true. It's like, all right, if you want to see this artist, this is where they're at right now. This is like them in the now being an artist, not just being like a freaking circus thing for you to repeat the same thing, you know?
Yeah, that's all Foster the People back in the day. And they that's when they were riding that wave of pumped up kicks, and it was just huge.
Yeah.
And they waited till the very last song to play it.
Yeah.
It's like, if we play it, half of this crowd might not be a fan of us, and might be a fan of this song, and we might lose an audience. So,
right.
Some and in the parking lot when we heard the song. Anyways, go ahead.
And some people, that's their path to like the Stones have accepted. People don't really want to hear us play new songs. We're gonna play our 70 hits that we wrote 50 years ago. Yep. So. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's where they're at right now. It's just, I think when you go see an artist that's like currently trying to express or getting new ideas, it's hard to feel like, I don't know. There's sometimes like a disconnect because the fans are putting out shit takes so long too. So by the time something comes out, you're not psyched on it anymore. And everyone's like, play that one. And you're like, oh, I cared about that like a year ago. So yeah.
Yeah. after you've heard it a million times because you have to keep listening to it, have to keep listening to it, get a mix. No, we need to do this to it. It's like, dude, I hate this song now, but y'all fucking love it.
Yeah, it's like they have two lives. They're like, it's for me when I'm making it, and then like when I'm listening to it, tweaking it, and then up until it comes out, I'm like, it's my life with it is happening right now. And then once it goes out, it's like I have nothing to do with it anymore. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't care about that.
That's not me anymore.
Yeah.
It'd be weird if I did. If I was just sitting at home like, man, 2 months later, the shit still hits. Like, it'd be weird. You know?
Hey, what's funny though is some people do that.
I know.
I don't know what enjoyment they get out of it. Rather, it's like, I've even done that with music I've made. Man, I remember exactly how I was feeling during this moment, and I'm never gonna get that feeling again because I'm not the same person. But God, that was a good moment in life.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I do the same thing. I just meant like if you're listening, I don't know who's sitting there listening on repeat,
right? Yeah. And the first song I heard from you was I listened to your radio show at night. That was the first song, and I mentioned it before we started recording, but the line that really got me was, I don't drink coffee after 5 p.m. And then you were talking about like 12 at night or whatever. I'm just like, wait a minute. These lyrics sound raw as fuck and honest as fuck. And then I went up and looked up your discography, listened to 2 albums.
That's awesome.
And that's when I hit you up. I was like, oh shit, dude. I fucked with Grady. I fucked with Grady.
That song, my uncle, he's like super stoked all the time. He's always like, he's got an energy that you like picking up. He's like so into life, and he hit me up and was like, his daughter was doing a radio show, and he was like, you got to tune in, she's on at like 11 p.m. and he was on the East Coast, so it was like super late for him, and she had like a nighttime radio show, and he was like staying up all night to like listen to his daughter's radio show because he thought her music taste was sick. And I was like, and she had moved away. So it kind of sounds like a love song, but it's actually me writing from the perspective of him being like up in the middle of the night, stoked to like still ride her same energy or feel like he's with her, but from far away. And then I kind of, just to make it a better song, I definitely put in some lines that make it sound like it's more like a love thing, like between two people. But it was started off of that. And he's just such like I don't know, you answer the phone and he's like, yo. so I just like, I think that line, like, I just pictured him like fucking listening to some crazy shit in the middle of the night, juiced up on coffee or whatever,
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not much of a lyrics guy, but some lyrics that stood out to me, and you also have them on a t-shirt, is everything means nothing when you are everything.
Yeah.
What does that lyric mean to you?
That's actually my favorite one from that album, because I felt like it was like a really cool. So basically, we were at Mackenzie's grandma's house, and she's this really quirky old woman who like survived World War II and escaped Germany. She's like 88 or something, and we thought she was dying, but she wasn't. But Mackenzie's mom and grandma are both just so like dry and quirky that we were sitting there, and her mom was like, well, what do we do if we wake up and you're dead tomorrow? And she's like, oh, I don't know, I haven't thought that far. I guess just call that company that comes and takes me away. And I was like, this is the weirdest shit I've ever listened to. And so that's what inspired it. And then I kind of like, after only the intros about that. And then I was just like imagining what it might feel like to go through the transition of leaving this world and becoming, whatever comes after this. Whether that's, immediate feeling of oneness or just like becoming a spirit, I don't know. But that's what that chorus is. It's me imagining someone feeling for the first time like, oh my God, I'm like everything. Like I'm a part of everything. I'm a part of whatever you want to call it, God and the universe, but also like how silly all this shit is. Like it actually none of it matters. And I just think the perspective of like when you tap into that like oneness and when you realize how interconnected we all are, you realize how silly all the shit you worried about was and how much all of it like doesn't mean anything and actually means everything, you know? So I don't know, like that's kind of what that was about. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. That's awesome.
And it is weird. That's something that I, you know, deal with is when I am going through a lot of shit, because I'm not someone that goes through a lot, but when it rains, it fucking pours and it all
Yeah.
comes in at one time. And I just try to remind myself, dude, you could be dead, you know, or it could be
Yeah.
much fucking worse. Like, chill the
Yeah.
fuck out. You're good, man.
Yeah.
You know?
It's good. Everything passes and it could always be worse. And, yeah. And whatever you're supposed to go through, like, is what you're going, like, whatever you're going through is exactly, which sometimes I align with that really hardcore. And other times something happening to me or someone, and I'm like, oh, that's fucked up. Like, I can't think that or say that. But it's true. Like, whatever we're going through is to teach us something. Like, I think we're here to learn a certain amount of lessons. And when we learn those lessons or go through those things, or then we go on to the next thing, you know? And I think, yeah, it's hard to think of it all the time. Like there's sometimes I'm like, you want to question everything and be like, that shouldn't have happened to that person. But yeah, it's comforting a lot of the time to be like, oh, everything is exactly where it's supposed to be for whatever.
Exactly. It most of the time.
Yeah.
Of the time. But if Bobby like killed himself, I'd be like, fuck, dude, how am I supposed to get over this?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
Is it supposed to be this way? Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's some things that's like, it can't fucking, there's nothing that can fix it, you know? But most of the times, like you said, most of the times, I say, no, this is what's supposed to be happening. Once I get through it, or maybe while I'm going through it, what can I learn from it? You know?
Right. Exactly.
Most of the times. And in Karma's a Gun, the video, I picked up on it immediately. I was like, holy shit, that's the intro to Goodfellas. Like,
oh yeah.
what made you like, is that a movie that you really love? Like, what does Goodfellas mean to you, and why did you want to direct the video that way?
I grew up in New Jersey, and my grandpa on my mom's side was like full Italian, so I definitely grew up with like some of that, at least food and some of that culture. And yeah, it's just funny. People are funny in Jersey. Everyone like is so like out of Sopranos and Goodfellas. Like you don't stop at a four-way stop without having someone flip you off. Like I remember I go home and somebody flips me off and I'm like, oh,
I'm
like,
home.
I missed this. Yeah. But so I think, yeah, I've always been a fan of Goodfellas. I've always been a fan of like, I just think they're hilarious people that like super irritated, thin-skinned mafia dudes is like pretty funny. And then we had rewatched all of Sopranos in quarantine. So we finished it and I was like, I had a hole in my heart and I was like, I need to fill this. And I was talking to my friend, he's like, you should just make a music video based off like all of this. And when I started writing it was going to be like a Sopranos spoof, but then I realized as I was going, there wasn't as like legendary or iconic of a style to Sopranos to obviously copy without being like cheesy. Whereas Goodfellas, the director style, the style of directing and the like choices made are so obvious and like different that it was so easy to like the freezing, like mid like slamming a dude's head
and then start talking,
stop, and then it's narrating again.
Yeah.
Like that is so Scorsese and like that and that film. So it ended up being way more of a Goodfellas spoof. And the intro, I just loved the idea of like narrating in a silly voice some shit. But that all came together really cool. Our friend works at that deli and we got to use that deli. Awesome. And it was another friend's car. And then we just got somebody cool to film it, and he just pulled a bunch of favors from like skaters and all these different people with crazy things, and we ended up filming that like convertible scene with like some ridiculous van rig with like an $80,000 camera on the back filming it. I was all on favors. I was like, this is nuts.
Wow.
So I was super grateful for that, and we had a ton of that. Was like the most fun video to make.
It looked like it.
Also, the guy who I slammed his head, he's one of my best friends, and he's a stuntman in movies. And
he made it look so real.
Yeah. He was like, I can coordinate anything. Let's figure it out. He wants to do some stuff for my new stuff too, like some fight scene stuff. And I'm like, sure. Because he's like, you might as well tap into this. Like, I can give you like a $40,000 stunt just for free because it's fun, you know? So just, and he loves the idea of it being like a shitty indie rock music video with then a really, really, really high budget, nice stunt. And he just likes the idea of like, if any stunt people were ever just like scrolling on my stuff, they'd be like, how did this dude who like records his record at home and mixes it and masters it for $500 or $1,000, how did he just do that $100,000 thing? Like,
no, that's
paying for that. Yeah,
it's it meshes together beautifully, like all of it, you know, the music behind it, the scenes, and when he slammed his head and then kicked him, I was like, wait a minute, that looked like I was watching a Martin Scorsese movie. Like, what the fuck
totally.
just happened?
It got really real towards the end, and then we were gonna, I forget how I was gonna kill him, but there was like, we didn't want to use a gun and we didn't want to do all this stuff, so he's like, you could just pretend light me on fire. And I was like, oh, that's so brutal, like burning you alive. And I remember my mom saw it and was like, yeah, no, it's really good. Yeah, the ending is pretty intense. I was like, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
You just fucking dumped the gasoline all over him. Fucking
I like how the whole video is like one vibe for two minutes and something, 30 seconds. And then the last 5 seconds, it like escalates so fast. Like slamming a head, you're like, whoa. Kicking him, you're like, oh, and then lighting him on fire, you're like, what the fuck did I just watch?
But you know, that's how Goodfellas is, because one of my favorite scenes in any movie, like my favorite movie is Scarface, but one of my favorite scenes is from Goodfellas when he's like, am I a clown? Am I here for your amusement? You find me funny? You know, like it escalated so
what's funny? Yeah.
It escalated so fast, and it was like, oh shit. And it's like, oh, he's kidding. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, those scenes are insane.
But that's how the video was. Your video, you know, Karma's a Gun it was like, all right, it starts off introducing. We got a nice song. They're in the convertible. It's a nice convertible. Oh shit's getting real. you know?
You're like, oh, he knocked a meatball sub out of his hand, and then you're like, oh, he's gonna kill him for that. Okay. Oh, he's on fire. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. I love that video, man.
Hell yeah. Thanks, dude.
Hell yeah.
And we're getting towards the end, and I have to know about how you create the character of Gary Normal, because that's awesome.
That was also with my stunt friend. He's like just into funny stuff, and he'll just call me like random stuff. Like he'll text me to surf and just be like, yo, Grundy or Grundus. And I think at one point he just called me Gary Normal, and we were like, we need to make that like a thing, and he should just be a sleazy car salesman, like trying to, I don't know, holding people hostage to sell more records. Yeah, I don't even know how we came up with that. We'll just sometimes think of random stuff, but yeah, he calls me random stuff. We're actually talking about making a shirt, because now my band group chat is called like Groovy. There's apparently a jam band called the String Cheese Incident, and so the group text is called Grady Strange Cheese Incident. And then we all love Gumby, the like cartoon, and he was like, we need to make a Grumby Strange shirt where it's like Gumby but with long hair. Just like Grumby Strange. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but
hell yeah.
From people calling me weird shit.
Yeah, I saw both of those infomercials. I was like, this shit's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. I like making funny videos a lot, but it also often feels forced if I don't have something to talk about. I don't want to be like the guy on TikTok that's just like needs to come up with a funny video every day. That doesn't really feel good to me. But when I have something to promote or something to do, I love making goofy shit.
Hell yeah.
And are you familiar with the sketch comic guy named Tim Robinson?
No.
No, I think you would love him. Like, me and my wife were watching your shit, and we were both like, I wonder if he watches Tim. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Oh, what is his name?
Yeah, Tim Robinson.
Robinson, yeah.
From,
What's
Tim
it?
and
I think I've seen, yeah, from Tim and Eric. Yeah, he lives right around. He lives right around here.
Oh, cool.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of comics that live over here. I've watched like, I saw like the Sloppy Steaks thing. I've seen a couple things. I always mix him up with Tim Heidecker.
I've heard Heidecker's name, but I don't know him.
He's another comedian, but oh my God, I saw him recently. We were at a Dr. Dog show, and they brought out Tim Heidecker during the encore, and he's like, walks out, he's like, give it up for Dr. Dog, let me hear you. He's like, come on, let me hear you. And he gets everybody hyped up. And he's like, yeah, anybody here like drinking hot piss? And everyone was like, what? And then he's like, let me hear you if you like drinking hot piss. He's done a bunch of shit with Tim Robinson too. But everyone's like, yeah, screaming. And then they busted into a song. I guess he has a band called like the Yellow River Boys or something. And he's just like singing about drinking piss. And it was just the most insane thing. And then I always see him around too. I always see Eric Andre at our coffee shop.
Oh, wow.
Which is a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah, the other day he was just sitting outside and he was just like, because you see people all the time here, you normally don't care, but I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he was like telling his new girlfriend that his parents were like at an Airbnb down the street, and he was like, yeah, it's gonna be whatever. You'll like them. You'll meet my parents. You'll like them. He was like dreading going and hanging with his girlfriend and his parents. I was like, this is pretty funny to listen to while I'm waiting for my coffee.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's the life of living in I guess you live in LA. I don't know where
you live
exactly.
Yeah, East LA.
Okay, well, yeah. That's the life of living there. Cause Barbie and I were on live a couple of days ago, and I was like, I've never seen a famous person. Like
it's
LA.
weird. When I worked in a restaurant here, there'd always just be people coming in. I'm trying to think of it. I get more geeked out on like a good pro skater. I'll see them everywhere, like, and they'll be set up at like a stair set and be like filming for the new Baker video, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But you see like musicians and actors everywhere, and you're just like, I don't know. You think about what you would want, how you would want people to act.
Exactly.
You're just like, I'm just gonna leave that guy alone. But yeah,
I feel like I would do the same thing. Like, I've seen people that I look up to, like this rapper Dizzy Wright. I saw him, and instead of being like, dude, I'm such a big fan, blah blah blah, I was just like, it was at a concert and he had just played it, so I just went up to him and was like, hey man, that was a good set. That was the end. I walk away.
Yeah,
because I think the same thing. Like,
yeah,
he gets this
all
all
the
the
time.
time.
And just be like, respect. I respect what you're doing.
Exactly.
Keep doing it. Yeah.
Yo, hell yeah.
And do you both skate and surf, or do you surf only?
I skated a lot when I was younger, and then when I lived in Nashville, I was skating all the time, and I just started getting so fucked up. I remember my tooth went like through my lip, and then I rolled my ankle and it all like popped, and I was like, no, I got too much shit going on. I got work. I want to surf. I want to play music. I'm like, I'm too old for this.
Yeah, this shit was
cool. Surfing, you can eat it, but like, unless you're an idiot jumping head first with shallow water, you're not going to get, that messed up.
Yeah. But see, I'm not a surfer. I've never surfed in my life. I've skated, and I always looked at surfers as like, you motherfuckers are crazy, because you go on this wave, and if you fall under, you got to hold your breath. You got to get your board. Like, how scary.
I think the same thing about big wave surfers. I see dudes on like a 70-foot wave, and they have like, they've been trained to hold their breath for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, you guys are psycho. But me on like normal waves, I'm like, you just get comfortable, but you can get comfortable skating, and you slip your foot one time and you're like body. You're like so fucked up.
Yeah.
Whereas like you could slip your foot surfing and you learn how to fall the right way and you hold your breath for 10 seconds and you're like, all right, that like shook me, but I'm fine. There's no major injury where I have to like go home now. Skating is like concrete's hard, dude.
It is. It is. It's unforgiving.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your scariest moment surfing? Like, have you had a scary moment?
Yeah, I've had some. There's some places you go where the ocean is just so much more powerful. I surfed in Hawaii once and I was like having a good time, but I was definitely like, this is my maximum ability level and comfort level. It was really scary. It was like really shallow water and really steep drops and big waves. And just the sheer power of them, like a 6-foot wave in California, I go under them and I can, like, while paddling out, I can duck dive under them and I can gauge how much it's going to mess me up. And this was just like, oh, I'm going to go under and I'm expecting a certain amount of power. And then I'm like doing backflips underwater and like whiplash and slamming my head on shit. I'm like, so I got held down by like 15 waves in a row. And when you're in like the impact zone of those waves breaking, there's nowhere to go. You can't ride in.
Oh, man.
So I was just like, I came on the beach and was like, out of breath and winded, and that was scary. Because once you get in that situation and you're like in fear, it's scary because the ocean is so big and powerful, it can fuck you up. But normally you're comfortable. But yeah, that was a scary one. But for the most part, I feel pretty safe out there.
And see, I mean, you've done both, so you have more of a idea and understanding of both of them. But with me never surfing, I look at skateboarding like, yeah, the concrete's hard, but I know what I'm getting every time. It's up to me if I land it or if I bail or if I fall. How do I fall? With the ocean, it's like you got fucking waves that you don't know how powerful they are. You might have a shark. Yeah, like like rest in peace to the dude in Australia, but he just got killed by a shark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I never worry about sharks, and there are places where you need to worry about them. Like South Africa is known for being like infested with sharks, and then Australia too. But I never worry about it, and I've never really worried about it. But the other day I was surfing here, and some guy next to me was like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, no. And he definitely knew what he was talking about because he was like, that was a juvenile great white that just jumped. And I was like, and he was like, and it was big. And I was like, oh, fuck. But I like didn't see it. And there were so many people in the water that I was like, whatever. But he saw it and was like, I'm out. Got out. But I was like, it's far away. Like the chances of it choosing me.
Yeah.
But I think when you're the one that sees a shark in the water, you're like, fuck this. But just hearing somebody talk about it, you're like, okay. But yeah, I probably should have gotten out. But yeah.
Oh man. Well, hey, you're still here with us. You're able to have a conversation with us, so you didn't get.
Wasn't my time.
Yeah.
and I don't have that same sentiment. Back in November, me and my buddy were hiking, and he woke me up out of my hammock. We hammock camp. He's like, "Dude, there's a bear in camp," and I was like, "We're getting the fuck out."
Fuck that, dude. Yeah, if there's a bear nearby,
yeah.
Because also the ocean is like you said, it's like such an unknown. I'm like, for all I know, that shark like is 100 yards away, like 100 miles the other way now. But yeah, a bear, if they're like chilling near humans, it doesn't sound like it's gonna end good.
Yeah.
He gave me a few options, and one of those was going back to the car. I was like, yeah, we're gonna night hike out of here. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen enough.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And you might not be, let me switch this question up a little bit. I don't know how I'm gonna word it, but it's my last question. What were you doing 5 years ago? And without any expectation, where do you want Grady Strange to be in 5 years?
5 years ago was like the last year I was in Nashville and in a band. And so I was probably touring. And it was an amazing time. And I like saw the country and I'm grateful for it. But I like more where I'm at now. And then 5 years from now, for music and stuff, I just hope to be feeling as free to make or not make as I do right now. You know, like I feel good. If I make more money to where I can live off of this, that'd be amazing. If not, I'll keep, something else will find me and I'll keep hopefully I just want to keep my relationship, which I think I will, with music. I'm still so excited by music and so like inspired by it, inspired to make it. And it still makes me so happy. So I don't know if I want to be touring as much then, but I would love to be in a cycle like I am now, where I feel happy making music and feel fulfilled by it. And, you know, that's really it. That's the baseline. And then if people like it, if it gets any bigger, if I'm on tour, that's all great. But I think the staple that I would really hope for and need is that I'm just like, still have a healthy relationship with it. And I feel like it's a good way to let out how I'm feeling and to relate to people.
Hell yeah. Well, I like that. It's been beautiful. I don't know what you call it, but your drip is what I call it. Outfit, swag, whatever you want to call it, is always on point, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, dude. Shit.
Yeah.
Honored.
Yeah, this has been beautiful.
Yeah,
for your time. I loved it.
Yeah, I'll send you guys some merch or something. Hit me up and we'll figure out your addresses and shit.
Oh
yeah. I got a bunch just sitting here, so
that would be amazing. Yeah.
Let's keep in touch.
Definitely. Well, hey, this has been another episode of Off the Beaten Path podcast. Bobby, if you don't mind letting these bitches know what to do,
stay black, you motherfuckers.
Don't be whack.